And let's talk about podcast 3, the elements. Just giving names around here. Don't pay much importance to this. Pay attention to the content, the message. So now want to start speaking about cornerstones of consciousness approach to a spherical civilization. What do we mean? These are all concepts. This can be expanded. Every bullet in this presentation can be expanded, greatly expanded by any of you who choose to participate with this, go with this. Yes? So let's begin without further ado. So what's the consciousness approach? Okay, consciousness as the basis of everything around us, including subatomic particles, even the muons, the subatomic particles, they are alive. Everything around us is alive. That's what consciousness is, and we'll enhance that bit more and more. Is what will build a new approach in all human knowledge, understanding, and go into all directions. There is really nothing like living and non-living. That's the biggest lie we are taught in this education system. Everything is alive, if you want to call it that. Maybe degrees of it, maybe frequencies of it, maybe maybe a cup or the atoms in a cup, or on your mouse pad, or in a tree, or in the feathers of a bird, or a leaf, or a stone, is different to what human beings understand as consciousness. But everything is consciousness. Everything is that energy, that field. Yes? We'll talk about it a little more later. So consciousness till now has been restricted to esoterics, just some spirituality stuff, some la-la land where they are sensitives of all kinds, intuitives, sensitives, psychics, yogis, etc., etc., etc. They have somehow tapped into a field and they are seeing everything is alive in consciousness. Somehow we are not. The rest of the masses are not. So what are they tapping into? And how can they do all these seemingly miraculous stuff that's largely ignored? See? We need to get that back into the mainstream. We need to have a consciousness approach to everything. Even the mainstream knowledge, it has to be a subject now. Consciousness is the doorway from which we approach the new civilization. We have to make this one of the pillars of foundations of building a spherical civilization. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. These just remain ideas, right? We have to build on the basis of consciousness, that everything is conscious, everything is alive. There is nothing like living and non-living. There's such a narrow approach to saying human beings and birds and plants and a bacteria is alive, whereas the rock or water or earth, the dirt of the earth, is not alive in some way. But you may not understand it as your definitions of alive, but that's so restrictive. And we'll see in a minute how. With regard to every subject, creation through consciousness creates new beginning in every field of human living, life, and longevity. Regeneration of consciousness gives absorption, inner growth, nurturing, allows for sustenance of human life, and living in balance with all the sphere of life we talked about. Engagement with consciousness. So I'm using the create, generate, engage, expand, the pillars of the human action, right? So these are the definitions of that. And so let's go into the subject, and well, one more before we go. So spherical embodiment of consciousness. Now, why do I say spherical? Because it goes, like I spoke of before in other slides and other podcasts, even in the beginning, the first 5 chapters. Everything is a fractal. Everything is fractal of one another. Everything is interlaced, intertwined. So spherical systems go in all directions. Right? So spherical systems of education, research, pure science, applied sciences, studying and developing consciousness as a subject. I'm talking about a mainstream subject in your universities, in your schools. Start teaching consciousness from the ground up, from all education systems. It's a subject, and it will keep developing as the children grow. So they can start from the basic element of consciousness and expand it into further. gathering all human knowledge, esoteric sciences, experiments already known. There are many things already known, they are suppressed. Because there's old energy which we already spoke of plenty of times, will not go there again. Is of control, domination, etc. So that's a low consciousness. We'll never expand as humanity if we keep going back into low consciousness, right? So spherical systems will have institutions, governance, laws, structures. All human participation should have studied consciousness as a subject. Then you'll formulate better institutions, have better laws and governance and different structures that we make. It's known that you have to have structures in order to function as a civilization, but that has to have a proper basis, not incorrect assumptions and lies. Spherical systems revalue and rejuvenate all current systems to align with consciousness. It's about aligning with truth rather than aligning with lies. So, spherical systems reintegrate, expand all knowledge into a single platform of systematic study. That's the important word there. It has to have a systematic study based on scientific proofs, logic in all fields. Now, let's see how that is going to come about. So, let's see how now. Okay, good. Let's go to every field. So, consciousness and biology. Okay. The biological field that each being sits in is scientifically already known, mapped, that all life forms, flora, fauna, including human body energy field, can be seen, captured as image on the paper. Now, there have been many scientists, I think there's some, even Russian scientists, I think they have done ages ago mapping of the fields around living things. There's an Indian scientist called Jagdish Chandra Bose who has also studied that all plant has life. He's put electrodes on a leaf, measured the fluctuations with human emotions. You can talk to a plant, you can talk to a tree. So they respond in their electrical signals. So there is interaction among what we have narrowly defined as life, which is only things that can multiply. We have fixed definitions of it. To get rid of those, expand those definitions, to capture all life, even what we call non-living subatomic structures. Anyway, we'll go to that later. So the biological field, all flora, fauna, including the tiniest bacteria, has a field around it. It sits in a field. This can be captured. This can be photographed, captured on a image on paper, and you'll see the field. This is not studied properly. This has to be studied in detail as a subject. Everything I'm saying has to be captured in a subject. And this has to be a separate subject called consciousness. And you take all the fields into that and integrate it. It is scientifically known that human DNA alters all biological fields. This is already studied again. I think Russian scientist Vladimir Paponian or someone. So they studied this. That human DNA is least understood of the structures. It has got something very, very special which alters the fields. Okay, this has to be studied. Expansion through systematic education of how this consciousness really interacts, how it can be used in benevolence for harmony with the spheres of life, right? Human being biorhythms. There's just some points I have cited. There are a lot more I think we can probably cite in consciousness and biology. So the biorhythm cycles of sleep, brainwave patterns, how the daylight affects day and night affects the functioning, how our sleep patterns, hormonal cycles, everything is known, but it's taught very less in biology. Why have we not taught that we are beings of consciousness? Right from a young age. Teach them, starting from primary school, teach them as soon as they study science, teach them these. Make it a subject. Consciousness in physics and chemistry. The principles of quantum physics is already known now for some time, right? How even two electrons placed apart are entangled with one another. It's even news these days. As I speak this, there's already news that scientists have entangled some 20 trillion atoms together. What is entanglement? One electron, if they affect in one place, it affects another electron completely in a different place, separated by space and time. So how is behavior of one altering the behavior of another? So there's something going on in physics and in chemistry. Now this is supposedly non-living. But quantum physics basically captures one of the essence of consciousness in what we have narrowly defined before as living and non-living. So, as you can see, quantum entanglement is part of consciousness of what we call atomic structures, subatomic structures, particles, the tiniest of particles that we have known so far. Maybe there are more. Magnetic fields of Earth, overlapping magnetic fields of all elementals is also already known. The principle of inductance. We are living in a field, magnetic field of the Earth, everything here. Our body currents are constantly electrical. All nervous currents are electrical. And that electrical field is in inductance or an interface with the magnetic field of the Earth. Well, how does the magnetic field of the Earth, which is shifting now, by the way, as this is being made a lot, so much so that they have to organize the compasses and the calibration of the runways of the airports, how is it affecting us? How is it affecting all physics? So, expansion through systematic education has to be done. Again, this has to be brought in mainstream. It has to be taught as consciousness, not as something inanimate. What we call anima or the life force has to be redefined. It's a very old structure called animate or anima or the soul or the life-giving principle of all things. The life is everywhere, including the subatomic particles, but they were not invented when the word anima or animation or soul or life was defined ages ago. So that time there was no quantum physics, there was no quantum chemistry, there was no quantum biology, nothing. So in chemistry, it's well known that each molecule carries a specific magnetic moment. Many of you who are scientific students already know this. What is a magnetic moment? It carries a certain magnetic moment, and this ability to react or be a catalyst or to bind and be reactive, oxidate or reductive agent, etc., is already known. So how does each atom behave like this? About the valency, about how it has a magnetic moment and how it affects with the magnetic moment of Earth. Can it be changed? Can it be altered? The quantum chemistry is also an evolving science. We'll start teaching it in relation to consciousness now. Hi, Dan. The dynamic interaction possibilities between fields, entanglements that can happen at atomic and subatomic levels are what the sphere of life and all its components are built from. It is therefore necessary to be an integral part of research and education in the new paradigms. Like I said, these are very, very core concepts, can be enhanced, each one of these. Each one of these bullets is a topic in itself. We can make a whole series of podcasts on that. Consciousness in mathematics and geometry. Principles of geometry as it relates is in all patterns of nature, the golden ratio. Spelling is come out wrong. The Fibonacci series, the log and exponential scales, the shapes, spheres, platonic solids, etc., etc. This is, I'm telling you, what is known principles, but as it relates to consciousness. I'm tying the two threads together. Okay. So, the geometry as it is derived from mathematics is also well known. How the number relates to shapes, proportions, scales. This is also known in both geometry and mathematics. They are interwoven because mathematics and geometry and the platonic solids all are interrelated. There is, as I said before, it's got proportions, it's got shapes, it's got scales. Mathematics and science of numbers, the basic stem cell from which all theory of science are validated. So mathematics is self-evident. The science of numbers, the science of exponentiation, the science of pi, the science of golden ratio, the science of Max Planck's constant in quantum physics, etc., etc., all is known. It follows a certain mathematical pattern, and that affects all life, and it is rooted in consciousness. Everything is alive. Mathematics, as it relates to calculus, abstractions of algebra, are the cornerstone of all pure and applied physics and chemistry. To understand the dynamic behavior of everything, ranging from macro to subatomic particles, when applied and refreshed with consciousness approach. This will only give the new meaning of life, where we take consciousness into everything that we are studying. Consciousness in liberal arts, the subjects that we talk about with respect to building a new spherical civilizations before, one of them is liberal arts. Music, colors, painting, artwork. Right? Music has been with human civilization in every civilization. Even the most tribal ones have music. Even the indigenous ones for thousands of years have had music. Well, what does it do? It translates to energy of consciousness field embedded with geometrical patterns of tunes. Each tune has a pattern. Each tune has a frequency, a note, a pitch. And that is tied in to the vibration of every molecule, every subatomic particle of the air we breathe even. The light that the sun comes through, the earth's magnetic field, the structures of all life. Nothing harmonizes the states of human being and all flora and fauna, even with elementals, faster than a well-composed music. It is well known that if you play a good piece of music to animals, they like it. Well, why do they like it? They don't speak our language, but the language of music is universal. Everything is known about this. Cultures have practiced it in every culture, everywhere. And the effects of colors on the human being, right? Because liberal arts has to do with music, colors, and all kinds of artwork. So effect of colors is known on a human being. The colors you paint in your living rooms, in your bedrooms, how it affects your mental, physical, and emotional states, how it is known even to create healings, how you apply this to your workplace, etc. So we need to change the colors that we associate with. Have more colors in this world. Even the backgrounds of all of this is from my own paintings, so which is full of colors. There's no black anywhere there or white. It's just all colors. We live in a very colorful conscious field, and we need to apply that to every field. All fine arts like music, colors are very closely interrelated to geometry and mathematics. Like I just said, it's all rhythm, it's all frequency, it's all in tune with consciousness. This needs to be studied in this way in our mainstream. Consciousness from ancients. This is completely ignored, saying ancients were. So, consciousness in the sphere of life. Now we come to that yellow invisible thread. I've colored it yellow there, see? So as you can see, it's an invisible thread of life running through everything, running through all humans, and running through all systems, which is in the center, the sphere of life itself, all human beings, all the earth, all the atoms, all the other life forms, all the elementals, everything. So the consciousness is the field which encompasses everything. It's an unbroken thread which passes through everything. What you are passes through your atoms. What your atoms are passes through the air you breathe, passes through the atmosphere around your city, passes right to the earth where you walk. So everything is connected. This connectivity should form the basis, one of the cornerstones of building a spherical civilization. Right? So how does it relate to this? Now we already spoke of how it can, all fields of study have to be recalibrated, have to be changed. If this consciousness approach, this dotted yellow line, has to be imbued into everything that we do and brought into all these subjects, the core subjects. Only then we will have a better civilization. Well, a true civilization. No more barbaric behavior, no more separation between one human to another, or between saying what is living and what is non-living. Just use a neutral term called consciousness and start exploring it, start using it in all scientific fields, teach them in mainstream education, bring it into sort of, mm, well, a new evolution for humanity in ways which has never been seen before. It's bringing ancient knowledge, current knowledge, research, and in making it into a proper mainstream subject. Then we start building a new civilization. I'll leave you with this final thoughts. It just occurred to me. So, this is the way it is perceived. Um, Again, understand the message in a larger context, and build upon it, research upon it, make it into a subject, teach the kids, teach the youth, build it into mainstream education, build it into, they will take it into all kinds of other structures, build it into university degrees, build it everywhere. Then we have a good chance of living in harmony, because only when harmony is perceived in everything, right down to subatomic particles, only then you can use it. What you don't perceive, how are you going to ever use it? Think about it. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you for listening. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my channel. I want to quickly share with you 5 keys to awesome living as I received them today. Number 1, your power is always with you, available for you to tap into. Enormous power which you cannot comprehend, imagine, or fathom as you listen to this right now. Access your own power through free, unfettered expression of your heart. Allow it, invite it. From you to everyone and everything around you. Become this constant daily invitation of freedom in your heart. Then you will see more, feel more, and embrace this power connection in you more each day. There is no power in the head. There's only ego. The heart has all the secrets of you. This is one key. Number 2, expression. Your words, your talk, speech, communication, and writing with yourself and therefore others determines the expression of your power. The limitation imposed on you is only by you. Because you're trying to please those around you, you're trying to make the people around you happy and craving for their acceptance of you. Your parents, siblings, friends and family, neighbors, and all humans in your society and culture. All of these people will never accept or allow your change or transformation to happen. Why? Because their own world of illusions and stability is based upon the fact that you are the same person they know and will always know as. So they will conspire to keep you the same person they knew year after year through your life. Let them go. Let yourself free. This is another key. Number 3, clarity. Your ideas must transcend and go beyond believing this or that. Clarity emerges only as everything that feels heavy, tight, and limiting to you is let go of, released, dropped, and dissolved. Empty the vessel of your mind of all that junk. All your mind is right now is the past, the programming, the bundle of ideas, beliefs, structures of psyche, which mean nothing at all to you, your life, and your soul. Seek clarity of your mind at all costs. From the time you get up in the morning each day to the time you go to bed each day. This is the only thing your mind is good for, to move from confusion to clarity. This is one key. Number 4, your hidden emotional content is what you truly desire to experience in life. And you will automatically get higher and more powerful as you begin to tap into your inner power the more you access this. This is where your joy, bliss, contentment, creativity, love, and passion really reside. Your emotional content is wild, free, pristine, exuberant, passionate, compassionate, beautiful, exotic, life-giving energy for you and you only. Your true success will always be only felt inside you, without the need of external validation, endorsement from anyone. Have an inner focus, clarity, and expression of your heart, free from all cultural and family programming. This is one key. Number 5, success means you living each day of your life with and as your own unique heart energy, not as someone or something else. This is the only success your heart will ever desire and drive your life towards. Every event, job, relationship, situation, achievement, failures, heartbreaks, pain, and suffering in the life you will ever encounter is by your own heart's choice and sanction, as it unlocks itself through and as you. Heart is the key to unlocking your mind. Clean your mind of the past, release yourself from the burdens of memories and history and learned knowledge. Unhook from society, friends, family, and culture by becoming an open receptacle of your own heart energy. This is one key. Remember all these 5 keys and come back to listen to this again and again, for these are very powerful. And as you listen daily, each day you will have a new understanding of what is said here. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Progressive channel. Today we will talk about how astrology, the Vedic astrology, good as it may be as a tool, it's just a tool, an esoteric tool, a magical tool, if you want to ask or go in that direction with me. It's a magical tool which can help you activate certain areas of life, which is what I focus on. Rather than readings, we just give a predictive analysis of what events might happen based on the planetary movement. Chart reading is, you have to remember this and go carefully with this. In any form of astrology, Western or Vedic, that you choose to engage with, you need to understand that that was just a snapshot of the heavens in the zodiac at the time of your birth. Nothing more. Nothing more. Remember this. Very important to remember this. Since then, a lot has moved in your chart in terms of planetary arrangements, in terms of what is called as Mahadashas, or major periods, as per Vedic astrology. A lot has moved in the system, a lot has moved on the planet, a lot has moved on the planetary energies, and we are in the shift since quite a lot of time now, since 1987. So we have to remember that the snapshot is not just the governing principle of who you are, or you cannot shift any of that. Now, I'll come at this from a different angle today here. So just follow this logic. This is also, again, as per the Vedic texts, more like Upanishads rather than the Vedas themselves. See, the Vedas just speak of absolute energies, but the Upanishads speak more in terms of the self. The self, what is the soul? Self. They call it more like the self. They don't give it an individuated form of consciousness like a soul, like a thing, like something is there. You are actually, if you want to call it that, a no thing. It's not a thing. It's not a substance. Okay, so I'll give it to you in this perspective. One of the things, we have to examine one piece at a time, otherwise it gets really jumbled. The soul, or the perceiver, or the receiver of all experience, whatever you are experiencing in life, the perceiver is not the perceived. Whatever you are perceiving, or whatever you are seeing, not the physical eyes, we are talking about the observational eyes inside you. Whatever you're perceiving is not you. For example, if you're looking at your hand, the hand is not you. It is the hand. If you're examining your emotion, or if you're feeling down or depressed or anything like that, that is not you. If you're seeing the world outside, that is not you. So the simple understanding that the ancients came across was whatever the perceiver is perceiving, it cannot be that, because it is the point of perception. The point of perception is separate from what is being perceived itself. Doesn't matter if it's your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, whatever you think your life is, whatever you think your body is, whatever you think your job is, or the money is, or all the beliefs that you have been indoctrinated into. Remember, it's just programming and indoctrination, and all the fear-based ideas that we have been fed with a very healthy diet over centuries. It's just what it is. It's you're perceiving all of this stuff. You can perceive your own fears, you can perceive your guilt, you can perceive your doubts, you can perceive your own personality, you can perceive all these things, but that is not you. You are the one who is the point of perception. Your soul is the point of perception. It is the perceiver. The perceiver is not the perceived. You can perceive everything. That's a pure point of awareness, your soul. The pure point of awareness does not have any other aspect to it other than it perceiving everything else. See what I mean? You're perceiving everything. You will continue to perceive everything. It doesn't matter if you're in your dream state while sleeping, or when you get up and you start engaging in a conscious way. From the time you wake up in the morning, you start perceiving all these things. But that isn't you. You are just perceiving it. You're perceiving the energies of everything around. And you're translating that perception as an experience in an embodied way. You're an embodied soul. You're in a physical body right now listening to this podcast somewhere. So that point of perception will continue to remain until you leave the body, right? For everyone. This is common for everyone. But you have to disengage from the fact that you are not in what is being perceived. You are perceiving it. You're definitely not the one who is part of it. You can identify with it. You can identify with I am a this or I am a that. I'm a Hindu or I'm a Christian or I'm a Buddhist or I'm a monk or I'm an engineer or I'm a doctor. I'm a this, I'm a that. You can go on endlessly about I am a fill in the blanks, whatever you want to put there. I am a dash, whatever you want to put it in the fill in the blanks. You can keep doing this exercise endlessly. Now, we talked about the soul as the perceiver. That's one of the attributes of the soul energy itself that the ancients give us through the Upanishads. They say the self is the absolute point of perceiver. It is the receiver of all experience that has ever happened, not just in this lifetime, but all lifetimes put together. Not just this planet, but maybe other planets that you have been on. Everything is the point of perception. It is the receiver of experience. All your experiences, doesn't matter how you qualify them as good or bad or hard or easy, has been just a point of perception that somebody is receiving this whole experience that I'm experiencing in this body. That is the summary of experience. That is what is gained in life. The real gain is the experience of life itself. It is gained through the perception of experiences, various experiences. You might be in joy, you might be in love, you might be in sadness, you might be in grief, you might be angry, you might be feeling very high on something. But it is just a point of perception received as an experience. That's what the soul is. The second point, which we talked of briefly, was identification. They talk about identification. This is another quality of the soul. Well, for example, if you're feeling angry, when you say, I am angry today, or I'm angry at this and this situation, or I'm angry at this such and such a person, you are identifying with that feeling. You are identifying with that particular emotion. This is another quality that the ancients say in Upanishads is the capacity of the soul to identify with something. You identify strongly with your body, or your face, or your good looks, or your bad looks, or your clothes, or your culture, or the knowledge you have, or whatever it is that you want to eat, some good food, a good piece of music, some art and crafts, any number of things that you want to do, that you're experiencing, you can identify with it. Means the soul can feel as if it is merged with the other. If you want to go down the astrological route, this is that seventh aspect we talk of. Every planet or point has the seventh aspect. It looks at its opposite aspect, right? The opposite side. The diagonally opposite side of every house is the opposite of it. This is where the identification comes into play. You can identify. This is another quality of the soul. If you keep staring at flower, you can identify very strongly with that flower. And what happens with identification? What is learned? Why are we identifying with so many things? Let it be the body. Let it be the desire for this and this. Desire is actually a quality of identification. You're identifying with one thing or the other. So the process of identification is another quality of the soul. Just like pure awareness, the point of all reception of all experience is one quality of the soul. Another quality is to go out there, seemingly. It doesn't need to go out anywhere. This whole thing is an illusion. It is trying to embrace everything within identification. This is another way that the soul learns, by identifying as something. Let's say a person strongly identifies as being a doctor this lifetime, being a doctor and helping patients and curing patients of all illnesses is all that he or she knows this lifetime. I'm just taking an example here. So the person strongly identifies, who am I? Who are you, Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so or Miss So-and-so? I'm a doctor. And this is what I do. This is what I am about. This is my life. This is my soul's purpose, etc., etc. The person can feel a strong identification with whatever they're doing, right? This is another quality of the soul. It can identify. It may continue till its last breath as an identified personality, outer personality, which thinks it's a doctor. But in the absolute sense, it is not. But it played out that particular role in that lifetime as identified, strongly identified. Now, there can be, as you can imagine, there can be strong or weak identification. Some people have a weaker identification with the role, but they are strongly identified in something else. It's still identification. They say, I'm not too attached to my job, but I'm attached to my children, for example. I care a lot about their children. About my children, their education, what they're doing, how they grow up as individuals, personalities, etc. That's another form of identification. So I want you to just take away and reflect on these two things. These are told in the Upanishads and the texts as two qualities of the soul. If you have to tell what are the qualities of the soul, first is it is the point of all reception of all experience. All your life experiences, doesn't matter how you qualify them, they land inside the soul as a life experience. This particular life, you're just experiencing them. You're just experiencing them as an experience. I do this and this happened. Or I did such and such, or I felt such and such. It may be a whole range of emotions. It may be a whole range of observations, which is derived out of life experience. Why I'm stressing on experience is because many people are starting to think that life can be engaged with through the virtual media, like social media, like where you're listening to this podcast, or it can be engaged with through the medium of just emotions, which is kind of being programmed right now, very fear-based programming. Oh, there's doom and gloom. Oh, there is such and such. No, that is just a very narrow lens of perception. Nothing else, nothing more. So you need to disengage from this kind of perceptivity and think that life is actually your experience of it. How you choose to make your experience is pretty individual. Suppose you decide to keep your phone in your house, walk out of the house, and just enjoy a tree. Just enjoy the birds flying, or just enjoy the sky, or just enjoy the sun, looking at the sun. Or any number of things. Children playing on the grass. This is how you chose. Your willpower is absolute. So you chose to actually disengage with everything and take your experience to where it feels good to you. Remember, this is the point of reception of all experience. You are consciously taking your soul to engage with something because the soul here has actually come out to play in the form of identification with something. Something. You identify with something, it immediately goes out. It's a natural inclination of the soul to go out there and identify with stuff on a daily basis. Sometimes you're just doing it as a routine. I get up, I make breakfast, I make lunch, dinner, eat, go to bed, and do everything else in between, whatever I feel like doing it that day. It may be a repetition of the same thing for 10, 15, 20 to 75 years, or it may be that I'm not engaging with anything. Today I just feel like chilling and watching Netflix. All of this are still your choices. The choices the soul makes, that is the conscious you. That's where you have the power and the control of your own life, of your own life experience on a daily basis. Another thing is what you want to identify with. Even that can be a conscious selection. It's all about conscious selection, folks. So conscious selection in these two ways. Understand that you can perceive everything as neutral. You know that everything is being perceived and you are the perceiver of things. Your own thoughts, feelings, emotions, your own actions, your own drives, everything can be perceived. Even the ascendant, if you want to go down the Vedic astrology route, is just a point of perception. Whether you take Mars as Aries or Mars as Scorpio or Jupiter as Pisces or Jupiter as Sagittarius, it is just a point of perception. It is not everything. There are many planets, right? Including the outer planets. It is not everything. It is just a point of perception. You can choose to stand in a particular place and relatively examine whatever is going around you. That's the point of perception. It can even tie into quantum physics and theory of relativity. It depends upon where you stand. What is being perceived depends upon where you have positioned yourself. That's one point. Secondly, what you're identifying with, you can shift that as well. You can consciously, once you perceive, you can shift your point of perception to identify with something that you want to do today. If you choose to identify saying that I want to do this and this today, I do not want to engage with that or identify with this person or this activity or this hobby. I want to do something else today. I want to try out something else. That's your freedom. That's where the real freedom lies for every individual every day. Not going into too much esoterics there, but this is the essence, two essences I wanted to share with you today. One is you are just a point of perception or receiver. Everything that you are perceiving, if you can separate yourself for a second from your mind, from your emotions, you are perceiving everything. You are just pure awareness. That's one of your qualities. Second, you can identify with anything. You can feel as if seemingly you're going out and looking at that stuff. If you're creating a piece of painting, you can become so identified with it and you can get absorbed in it seemingly. This is the power of the soul. It can identify and get absorbed with anything. It can be a person, it can be an abstract art, it can be taking care of gardens and flowers, it can be anything at all. Any activity, any place, any person, anything. Take this away and reflect on this today. Okay? Take care and I'll see you in the next one. Meanwhile, be safe and happy.